Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Jules. Good afternoon, Dr. Martin Rains. Another beautiful autumnal day here in England. And, well, we've got plenty to talk about. Motegi. Oh, where do you start? Marquez, Bagnaia, Mir, Honda. Oh, by golly, what a Grand Prix that was. Aragon. Toprak won for the first time at the Spanish circuit, but he just lost a few points in the battle. And then, I think the big talking point are the 50s, 125s, Moto 3, 250, Moto 2 and 350cc world champions being written out of the record books. Are they being erased? I think we're going to have some very interesting views on that, and also about the future of MotoGP. Right, we're going to have a look at the socials when I can get them up on my phone, and as you know, that's probably the most difficult task I face the whole afternoon. Here we go. Robert Teddington, 746. Loving the podcast. I learn loads every week. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you very much, Robert. HRGH Balasara. I always enjoy your show. I keep waiting for this one show to brighten up my week. Thank you, gents. And he's also come back right. This is, I think, right to the heart of what we're saying. One thing I categorically disagree with is the way the junior series is being deliberately devalued by the current promoters of the sport. Moto 3, Moto 2 and MotoGP are currently the only sport I know where the junior categories are on the same tracks in the same weekends as the main event. That makes them a true world championship. Removing that number from the total number of championships won is frankly an utterly demeaning insult to those championships earned. On the one hand, we're talking about the difficulties of getting into the sport as a whole, and on the other, we've got management who's trying to take the piss out of its own junior categories, which makes it even more difficult to find the necessary funding for people to excel. Granted that most from the junior categories will never be good enough for the senior class, but those who are gems we only find out about the junior series are taken seriously and treated with the respect they deserve. Wow, there we go. So that's something to get our teeth into. And, well, this is great. This must be from Australia. Well, I'm bloody delighted to follow you, men. Lots of people of substance with real life experience. Great pod. So there you go. That's the socials. That's the subjects we're going to be looking at. We'll start more gently, I think. Let's have a look at Motegi. And, well, it's got to be about one man, really, hasn't it? I suppose Marc Marquez. But I think you've got to throw in Bagnaia and you've got to throw in Mir, haven't you? Jules, what do you think?
I think it was a podium full of redemption stories.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mark, the comeback of all time. Bagnaia, all he had to do was listen to Casey, and he's back. And Honda are back. And how nice, Joan Mir, everybody's idea of a good guy.
Yeah.
Back on the podium for Honda. What's not to like?
Rainsy, I bet you enjoyed it.
Certainly did. It was a great weekend racing. Great to see. Like Jules, I think the highlight was seeing Mir back on the podium. I thought he did absolutely fantastic. I think we need the Honda back at the front, and he looked very good. Really nice guy, and I remember him when he came through the Moto 3, how highly he was rated, and then got onto the Suzuki and did really well. So it was nice to see him back. But yes, seeing the 9 times world champion, is it for Marquez? 9 times, is it, or 7? Is it 7?
At which point we draw attention to the Marquez celebration.
Yeah.
Which he knew nothing about, as we know from the post-race interviews. This has to be a Dorna thing.
Yeah. And that was saying 7 times world champion.
It was saying more than a number. It didn't mention numbers. It avoided the subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I've always said I can argue this both ways. I can hear Mick Doohan in my head saying, when I asked Mike, I think the exact quote was, when Michael Schumacher talks about his wins, he doesn't count the Formula 2 ones, you know. Tricky to argue with a Mick Doohan point like that. But Grand Prix motorcycling has always been a multi-event championship, like athletics. You know, shall I tell you Usain Bolt, he can't count his 200-metre titles, only his 100-metre titles. Or Mo Farah can't count his 5,000s, only his 10,000s. That is, you know, yes, there's coherent arguments on both sides, absolutely. But I'm going to endanger my health by saying I disagree with Mick Doohan.
Hang on. There's a knock at your door there, Jules.
I'm just going out the window. Yeah.
Good day, Julian. Yeah. Right.
Don't we have to look at it in two ways, though? I think we have to look at it, what's happened in the past and what may happen in the future. I think we're all agreed that what happened in the past is that those titles, those world titles, are genuine world titles.
Yes.
Anybody who's been around as long as we have, like I started watching in the late 60s and remember the Yamaha 250 against the Honda 250 back in the 65, 66. And they were more important than the Agora 500 title.
And that was the period when the 500 championship was up for the bullet.
Yes, absolutely right. Yeah.
All the activity, as Martin has just highlighted, from the factories was in the 250 class. Things can change.
Yeah. Yeah.
254 cylinder 2 strokes, 250cc 6 cylinder 4 strokes. I mean, how couldn't you like it?
Yeah. And I think we have to respect those world championships and not try to put them aside. And that was one thing that rather upset me with this recent Hall of Fame announcement. They were just the people, it was counted on number of wins, I think, and number of titles in the Premier class, with no room for anybody else in there.
So that would mean no Angel Nieto.
Absolutely, no Angel Nieto, no Carlo Ubbiale, no Jarno Saarinen. Or the one that I think it really should be there is Jim Redman, 6 world titles. 40-something Grand Prix wins. He developed, he went to Honda when they were first arrived and won those titles against the top guys like Mike. And therefore, like against Phil Reed, he won those titles, and they deserve to be counted equally to any of the world titles.
They're cutting non-top class the bigger capacity classes there out of any Hall of Fame stuff sounds to me like absolute arrant nonsense. And
we're being old fogies here. I don't think we are being old fogies. The very soul of the sport, the very infrastructure of the sport has always been these classes. And just look who we were talking about just now. Marquez, 125 Moto2 and then MotoGP world champion. Bagnaia, Moto2 world champion and then of course MotoGP world champion. Mir, Moto125, Moto3, world champion. It's been part of it. It's the very soul of the sport. MotoGP is not Formula One. It's the soul of the sport. Where it's come from and what it's achieved is different. And I can't think we can just write those people out of the history books, out of the records.
I think that's the point. Everything evolves, everything changes. I'm not arguing to bring back an 80cc class, a 350cc class.
I want sidecars back.
From it. But there has to be, as you say, the respect.
That's the word I think we're looking for, Julian. Respect. And I think there is a lack of respect at the moment.
Yeah, I think you hit on exactly the correct attitude to take to this.
I think we all agree that Liberty have done an amazing job in Formula One, and they pick up that sort of audience in MotoGP. It's got to be the future. I don't think any of us disagree with that. So find the future, but please pay respect to the past and the history and some unbelievable riders who are such a massive part of that history.
Nick, I've just thought of something. Someone's got to tell Ago he can't count his 350 time.
Oh, yeah. Could you tell him? No.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? Where does the future lie? Obviously, if they, be honest, in the future, if they lose one fan because they're not putting the old record books and they're scrubbing people out and gain 10, the organisers will say, well, that's a success. We're gaining a new audience. But don't forget the hardcore. Don't forget the people that have supported these riders. And it's just part of the whole sport.
Part of any sport is its history and tradition.
Yeah.
It is, but we have to look at it from the point of view of the new owners, and I've tried to do that to not be influenced too much by emotion of what's happened in the past. And if we think what the most important for them is making money in the future, the sporting aspect of it is secondary. They have to get their investment back. And I was watching at Weekender, and I love all three categories, and I'm not saying what I'm going to say is playing devil's advocate. I say the Moto3 race in Japan, they've flown out 25 bikes across their team, support, engineers, and we get 32 minutes racing. It's a lot of overhead to end up with 32 minutes racing. When people coming from outside, the new owners say, well, the MotoGP guys race twice over the weekend. We go to they own World Superbikes. They'll race 3 times over the weekend. Can we reconstruct it so we get better value out of? And that's what they're looking for. They're looking value and TV time. Important to them will be TV time and the number of people who want to tune in.
Yeah,
that's what's important to them.
Agreed.
And I'm sure they've looked at Moto2 and Moto3 and seen those television figures aren't very great.
Absolutely. And who watches Moto2, Moto3 practice and so on? Do we look at less practice and try to use those guys and have maybe a Moto2 race on the Saturday and another one on the Sunday to get more?
I've heard worse ideas, Martin.
Yeah.
I really have. I don't like the sprint race.
No.
I think it ruins the narrative of the weekend and the way it used to all build up to the main event, as far as I'm concerned. But that could be a nasty case of old fogeyism.
I mean, they're going to say that the organisers are going to say that it attracts more spectators through the gate on a Saturday and it attracts more television viewers on a Saturday. That's what their argument will be.
I don't think that discounting Angel Neto's or Ago's small capacity championships will make one iota of difference.
No, nor do I.
No, it will not. I agree.
It's disrespectful. That's the word I keep using, but that's how I feel about it. Now, Rainsy, we had a good chat earlier, and you've come up with a new scheme.
Well,
devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate again.
This is the Rainsy solution to
no, it's not my solution. No, Nick.
10 years.
I don't want to be blamed for this. It's not my solution. But if I was a businessman coming from outside, I would think, well, I can get 3 races out of Superbikes. I can get 2 MotoGP races. If I combine the 2, I can get 5 races over a weekend. I've cut down by a third the number of bikes I'm having to transport around the world. Having the World Superbikes in the same paddock as MotoGP may also have the benefit of allowing more people, more nations in the paddock, like the Brits and Americans, whose riders are brought up on production-type machine.
Yeah.
If we look at it next year, Jake Dixon, I think we all saw probably that Jake Dixon has now signed for the World Superbikes, Honda World Superbikes. So in the top two classes in Grand Prix next year, there will be no Brits.
Yeah.
That has only happened once before in all the history, 75 years or whatever, and that was 2007. And in that time, we had Bradley Smith and Danny Webb in the 125 class it was then. So we had people coming through. How many people are we going to get in the Motor 3 class next year? I don't know it. We may have one, we may have two. But I can't see a future for British riders in those classes. If we had, why is that happening, and why is Jake Dixon going to World Superbikes? I can but believe that he'll be earning more money racing on the World Superbike than he will in a Motor 2 class. I think the Motor 2 and Motor 3 classes maybe are so dominated by Spanish and Italians. 50% of them are Spanish or Italians. Is that healthy? And is there a better way, possibly, having combining World Superbikes with the same weekend as Grand Prix? I'm not saying that's what I would like to see.
I think it's a really, really interesting idea. What do you think, Jules?
Would there be then a second championship, which would have Moto 3, Moto 2, Supersport, baggers?
Absolutely. I agree, Julian. Absolutely, and that'd be for the enthusiasts, and that'd be and that probably limited more to Europe to reduce the cost of running the Motor 2 and Motor 3 teams.
And I would call it a feeder.
Absolutely, yes.
I would call it a feeder development. Yeah. There's lots of, there's lots of precedent for that.
There is, and it could be a Motor 2 World Cup. It might not be a World Championship as such, and we do in the future maybe stop counting those titles in with the MotoGP World
and there's
titles.
Plenty of precedent for that as well in things like F1 and endurance, when they fell below the threshold for the number of rounds for a world title and were recast as FIM Cups. Carl Fogarty's first F1. It was not a world title. It was an FIM Cup, for instance.
Don't you tell Phil Reed that.
There's lots of people, past and present, would be kicking the door down, I realise. But see, this is an interesting and radical idea, and I go back to something that there was some commentary on the Bordeaux on TNT Sport. It was the elder Mackenzie lad.
Yeah. And Taylor, is that Taylor?
Yes, talking about the production class in World Endurance.
Yeah.
And he made the point very well and very forcibly that this is just about affordable.
Yeah.
To a good amateur team.
Yeah.
A superbike, the rest isn't. They are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
To expect a nation the size of the UK to produce a grid full of competitive superbike teams really is far too big an ask.
Yeah. I think you said it actually last week, Julian, or the week before, that no, Motor 3 is an age-limited category.
Yes.
And should you have a world championship that's age-limited, and I'm just going to turn it on its head, are we disrespecting the Angel Nitos of the past who won the 125 championship, the Phil Reeds and so on, when it was an open class, when it was fully competed by everybody, by now calling the current Motor 3 world champion a world champion when it's actually age limited?
I would call it, because it's limited, I would be calling it an FIM Cup, I have to say, if I was starting with a blank sheet of paper.
Yes. And that's what the people coming in are doing, really. They're not bothered about our history. They want to look towards the future. So is that a proposal that you perhaps agree with then, Julian? That maybe
I would probably go for that. As you say, these people need to make their money back.
Yes.
Television audience needs to grow. Those of us, Nick and me, who've worked on magazines or whatever, know that the only thing you put on the front cover was the top class.
Yeah.
No more, if you put, I made this mistake with Road Racer magazine. I'd put smaller stuff or other stuff on the front cover. Disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's not kid ourselves. You know, the sport is on the world stage. It is Moto Grand Prix,
Yeah.
and everything else is in some way support. I also think back to the Bernie Ecclestone era of cars. There were, and the fact that, you know, people saying, Kenny Roberts always said there were too many world champions in motorcycle racing. And if you walked into a sponsorship meeting and the guy said, "Hey, who's the world champion, Kenny?" he knew he was dead, because he said, "Well, which one?" You know, this is Ecclestone and Max Mosley had Formula One, rally, and I think touring cars.
I think touring cars were there, yeah.
That was the 3 world titles you could win on 4 wheels in the entirety of world motorsport.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said for that.
There is, absolutely, yeah.
Look at the success of Premier League football in, well, the world, but certainly in England. They never mentioned the old League One League One title holders or anything. It's all the modern era. It's all it's rather like they've been written out as well. And I do find it disrespectful.
Yeah, the occasional comment would just say football did start before 1990.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yes, I would again agree for various reasons.
It's a hard one, and as we keep stressing, we're not old fogies who say it mustn't change it. We fully understand there have to be changes. We fully understand that the MotoGP has got to be the one that everybody concentrates on. We've tried to talk about the future, but do not disrespect the past and forget some truly amazing world champions who form the very backbone of our sport.
Absolutely, Nick. We must not do that, but we must not be against change in the future. And the change may not make us happy as long-term enthusiasts, but we are not the future.
No, we'll be under the ground when they're reaping their reward.
In fact, we've got a screen full of the past. Right?
I'm pleased to come on this podcast because I bring the average age down. So,
Ooh, he's not coming back then.
Oh, way up. Right. So, come on, what about Marc Marquez? I've got some facts here. 2,184 days between his last World Championship and the present one. 143 days between that last Grand Prix and when he returned with the Gresini team and won a Grand Prix. 108 crashes in that time, 5 major operations, and the quickest new world champion in the modern era. It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
To put it mildly, I'm not going to say he's the best ever, not until after he's retired. That is, you need some perspective on that.
Yeah.
But my God, is he in contention?
Yeah.
What do you think, Nick? Do you think that is the greatest comeback ever?
Funny enough, I've been writing a feature about it, and I think you have to view different comebacks in different ways. Mike Hailwood, he was reaching an age when he was more worried perhaps about thinking about grandchildren and a pension, and decided, I'm bored, I'm going to go back and race motorcycles, and won the TT. Obviously, Mick Doohan with the terrible injuries he had. Barry Sheene, Barry Sheen's crash at Daytona brought him more publicity and brought him as a legend in Great Britain and then throughout the world because of the Daytona crash, because they filmed a documentary about it long before he won a Grand Prix or even the World Championship. And then Jorge Lorenzo, his comeback, 2 days. What was it? Broken collarbone, 10 screws in a plate in his collarbone, came back and finished 5th in the race just 2 days after. So different comebacks, different ways of looking at it, but by golly, Marc Marquez is as good as anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's difficult to say which is the greatest of those. Like Barry Sheene, if we saw that, anybody who saw that documentary and just saw him lying there after the big crash at Daytona, what with broken leg, broken arm, collarbone, ribs.
Yeah.
The actual level of injuries.
Talking to camera.
Yeah, yeah.
And what did he end up by saying? Anybody got a cigarette? I mean, and he
did it again at Silverstone.
Oh,
he did. That's true,
even worse, the Silverstone crash. Yeah.
And perhaps without all the support of the medics that there are now, I think going back to Barry Sheen's day, he did it just from grit and determination to get back. Without all the support that will be available now. And Mark's accident, original injury, if I'm not reading this wrong, was not as serious. The serious bit was when he tried to come back too soon.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's right. Yeah,
damaged it.
Yeah, absolutely an amazing performance. And he seems to feel that he's going to be banging on for quite a long time and bringing, adding on to those 7 or 9 world championships.
Well, yes, I think the ghost of Malaysia 15 and the number 10 hovers over all of this.
Yeah.
Valentino never made double figures.
No.
His world titles. Marquez will deny any suggestion, the thought ever crosses his mind about this sort of number.
Yeah.
And that, of course, is a downright lie.
Yeah.
And what about Pecco Bagnaia at the weekend? There we are. I had written him off. Julian had not written him off and saw that there was something coming along. We didn't see it at Misano, but boy, did he need that result.
The last time Dr. Rains was on, he had a table of the top 10 of, I forget what it was, Martin.
Winning percentage, I think.
A strike rate, wasn't it?
Strike rate, yeah.
And Bagnaia was number 7.
Yeah.
He's a double world champion, a back-to-back world champion with a top 10 in all of history's strike rate of podiums or victories. He's Ducati's top scoring ever Grand Prix winner. You know, then it just shows you that the psychological job Mark did on him at the start of the season has taken 2/3 of the season, is it, for Bagnaia to recover from?
That's right. And he had Casey Stoner in the pit in Barcelona, was it? Or
at the test.
Misano, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure Casey gave him some good.
At which point the cynics shout loudly, well, Ducati should have learned the first time. You know, all you got to do is listen to Casey.
Yeah. And are Honda on their way back, or was this just a special Motegi performance? If I may.
Well, I'll jump in quickly. That motorcycle is working better. Marini is impressing me hugely with a sort of his usual stealthy, Alex Marquez-like, never take a step backward, plateau for a bit, make the next step. The bloke's working his way up the ladder, in my opinion. The Honda is working.
Rains, you're our expert mechanical man.
I totally agree completely, Julian, that I think they're making step by step. And it's been over the season, hasn't it, really? It's been little steps over the season. Surely, really, we need to look now, perhaps not next season as much as 2027, when they all start with a clean sheet of paper, different tyres, which is going to be a big change for all of them, because that dominates the design of the motorcycle to a great extent. Of course, we've also need to mention the Yamaha coming with the V4, which it looks like they're going to race next year. So, the Japanese factories are back. Well, close to being back.
Not quite,
not quite back on top. But it's good to see. I think after the doldrums of the last season or two, that it's great to see. Like at one time, I think it was a thing to beat Honda, and everybody liked to see them getting beaten.
But now, I think everybody wants to see both factories come back. But in many ways, I think particularly Honda, don't you?
Particularly Honda, because I think they were lower down, really. They'd gone further down the pecking order.
Although, Martin, if you discount Quattararo, Yamaha are pretty
Absolutely.
pretty horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, Yamaha are still struggling. I think more than Honda, but perhaps they've got a reason for that, in that they are putting a lot of their efforts into the new V4.
The V4,
They cannot do everything, so perhaps they've sort of are they doing a lot of work on the across frame for between now and the end of the season? No. And I don't think they'll have been doing anything for the last few months on that. So they've dropped down.
People think that Yamaha's race department is like, enormous. It's not. It's about 10 men in a shed.
Yeah.
If you listen to what Jerry Burgess used to say about it after that, it's a very small enterprise. They cannot develop two motorcycles at once. I think you're absolutely spot on.
And 5 rounds to go, Bagnaia and Marquez, I think it could get quite tasty, don't you?
I think there'll be no quarter given, will there? The Bagnaia
really wants to prove something, doesn't he?
We're almost starting the next season, aren't we now? It's the first gloves off. Bagnaia needs to show that he can do it more than one particular racetrack that I have to say is quite unique, isn't it? At Motegi.
Yeah.
Lots of heavy braking, and I think that did suit the Honda to some extent. So I think if we see the Honda take a step back in the weeks to come, it won't surprise me too much. I think those heavy, it look really very controllable on the braking, and at Motegi, that's what it is, isn't it? It's fast out the bends, get to the next bend, get those brakes on, particularly coming down the hill towards the end of the lap. That's a really tough part of the circuit. So whether that'll transfer to the next track, we've not got long to wait to find out, have we?
No, we certainly haven't this weekend, Indonesia. And it's sad to see Jake Dixon go. We've been through the reasons, but he's won Grand Prix for us. He's had pole positions for us. And it's sad to see him go from Moto2. But really, where was the future lie for him? Yeah.
A respectable career.
Very.
Absolutely.
Rather like Sam Lowe's,
Not everybody leaves the Grand Prix paddock with a couple of winners' trophies and a pole position or 3.
No, absolutely right.
Same went for Sam Lowe's. There was 20 odd podiums and a lot of pole positions along with his wins.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was just looking back a few years. I think it was 2020. Sam Lowe's went into the final race of the season, still in with a chance of the championship.
Yes, he did.
He's performed at the top level, and Jake took over. And really, it's a bit disappointing that over the years of those two riders, we didn't get a world championship from one of them, because they were all they were the solid Moto2 riders. Where the young up-and-comers were coming in and just unfortunately pipping them to the title each time.
And then moving on,
moving on. And those people who have beat them to the title have been very successful since, going up to MotoGP. So they've raced in Moto2 when the competition has been at its peak. And there are times like where the likes of Sam Lowe's particularly was beating some of the top MotoGP guys now, like when they came in, the Bagnaias and so on. He was
very much so.
Luca Marini, he was in there as well.
They were all there. I think the best chance we probably had of that Moto2 world title was Scott Redding. He looked on course, didn't he? Then he had the crash. Was it Phillip Island, Julian?
I think so.
Really messed him up, didn't it?
Yeah. Yes, I would agree with you. I think Scott was the nearest we came. But that's not bad. We just reeled off 3 British riders, who are up the top of that class, which is an absolute snake pit of a class to dive into. Stupidly competitive and close. And I'm sure Jake is going to, I don't doubt the fact he's earned a few quid as well. I hope he has.
Yes.
And he's now off to a good paycheck and an improving Honda in World Superbike.
Yeah. And according to Rainsy, riding with the MotoGP paddock within the next 5 years.
He's coming
back. if the Rains plot comes to fruition.
I can see this big cord,
Nick Harris. I'm going to wave the flag. 2-minute warning.
Oh my golly. Right. we could go on all day and all night about this problem. So, let us know. Please let us know what you think. One, about the future, but two, how you feel about the record books being ripped up, or these names like Anhaniato, I think in particular, being erased. It can't be right. We're going to look back on Indonesia, which is this weekend. I think a circuit that none of us have been to, and always interested to see it there. Also, we're going to look back on the penultimate round of the British Superbike Championship up in your part of the world, boys. Yep. It's Old Park. Rainsy, you've raced there, haven't you, on the old...
Yeah. I've been round there on a racing bike, not on a race day, but certainly we used to be able to hire the circuit. It cost us, I think, 12 quid it was for 2 hours. Total exclusive use of the circuit. Nobody else on the circuit. Wow. So we used to go up there and take the barbecue and take the bikes and do 4 hours of going around the circuit there, yeah.
Brilliant. And we look forward to the penultimate round of the World Superbike Championship. It's a circuit I used to love going to, Estoril in Portugal. What a super place. What a lovely place to be for a circuit. Easy to get to. We're talking about easy circuits. Flying to Lisbon. And that's about it, really. Boy, I've enjoyed today. And I think we've really got into a little bit of depth. Thanks, as always, of course, to Jules, but a very, very special thank you to Dr. Martin Rains.